Hello, hello, beautiful people. Today might sound a bit weird because I was having a few challenges to say with my equipment today. But I decided to show up for you, for my friend, and the universe found another way. So if you're watching it later on YouTube, which is coming out, I will be in a weird way looking at the camera. I don't know how to explain it, but I know right now most people are listening to it, so don't worry about it. Just ignore what I just said and just go with the flow because that's what our we are going to talk about today. By the way, welcome to the Divine Mess. If it's the first time listening, I'm Kirti Devapirman. I'm the co-host of the Divine Mess. I'm a holistic life coach. I'm the founder and CEO of the Heroes Mystic, where we help people to find their inner hero, transmute their fears, and go ahead with their life fully, joyfully, and embrace their divine masculine. And the divine mess is can't be defined on its own without its divine feminine. So that's why I have a lovely co-host which embrace her divine feminine. And before we were recording, she had a few messages, which I will let her explain maybe later or not.
Yes.
So
we shall see. Considering that is a good segue into our topic today, and our topic today starts with the letter C. It's our calling. So we will be diving headlong into that. And thank you, my good friend, for introducing today's kickstart for a Tuesday. Good morning. Hello, how are you? I'm Tina Marie. I am a love coach. And I know that sounds a little strange for some people, but I help women who have moved through an awakening, and you can call an awakening a separation, a divorce, childbirth, starting a new relationship, ending a relationship, you name it. They come in all shapes and sizes. It's that universal smack up the backside of the head that says, are you listening and are you paying attention? So I love to work with women, as my good friend loves to work with men, not to the exclusivity of women either, but I help women move from the space of fear into a space of love so they can imagine all of their infinite potential, possibilities and power. And I love what I do, as my friend loves what he does. But today we're talking about a calling, and it's something that both of us have been moving through and working with. Mine has been that very large universal slap up the back of the head. Probably, what do you reckon, 8 weeks ago or so, we started having these conversations about our guides coming and talking to us in not so subtle of a way. In the most innocuous space, I was having my nails done and sitting and talking to the lovely technician who was helping me, gorgeous woman. And she just said to me, who's Mary? And I went, Mary was my grandmother. And I'm starting to get chills telling the story. And she said, oh, she wants to talk to you. I'm sitting, and I'm not freaked out by those sorts of things, but it was just a little bit surprising for a Wednesday afternoon for someone to go, who's Mary? So the nail technician proceeded to share some information about my family line, that I come from a long line of healers. I come from a line of medicine women, shall you say, and we were known within our, and this is all news to me because it was never something that was shared via my family, but we were the women in the village that you would come to when you were having emotional problems, when you were having physical or health problems. We were the women that assisted with childbirth, with raising children, creating community. And it's quite an interesting thing, because there's been events through my life where I've gone, that seems really familiar, like working with essential oils and working with crystals and creating community with other women or other people in general, that are just, something felt like home for me when it comes to being of service to others. Like it's innately in both of us, and I think that's where we connect on such an interesting level. But for me, my channeling comes in all sorts of weird and wonderful. I went to a ladies' event last week, and it's taken me a long time to kind of wrap my head around trying to articulate what it is I actually do, because I think there's so many aspects to what it is that I do, but ultimately trying to help women discover unconditional love for themselves, and then being able to have that for the people around them. We're removing fear, we're removing ego, and we're allowing ourselves to be in a space of vulnerability. And after being in a big space of women, for me, that can be quite overwhelming. So I need to go home and just kind of shut down, have a little bit of a nana nap. And as I'm normally coming out of that deep sleep into that theta space before you're actually awake, for me, her voice in my head is like when I used to talk to my children about getting dressed for school in the morning. Put your socks on, put your socks on, put your socks on, put your socks on. And so she was talking to me about, you help women who've moved through an awakening. And it was literally like this record being played. I had to reach over and ask Siri to give me a voice note, and she was saying, Tina, if you don't record it, you're going to lose it and it's going to be gone. You need to. And then I managed to sort of flow back off to sleep. And then the next thing was another woman that I'd encountered who I know. And so I got a message for her. So then it was a message about what she did, because she was in a space of feeling unsure about what her purpose was and wanting to pursue it when there were outside pressures of, you just need to get a real job, sure, you might be a spiritual woman who has gifts and talents, but the gifts and talents don't pay the bills, right? So I had to record a message for her and send that off to her. And I said, please don't be alarmed, but I've been asked to send this to you. And so I sent her a little bit of a message about what she did. And she came back and she said, oh my word, that articulates exactly what I do. And it's like, I would like to have this information on a regular. I would like it to be a more consistent voice, but I think that comes from me, my human getting in the way and going, you're full of shit. This is just
Not
crazy.
me.
This is just crazy nonsense. But at the same time, it's like, this is who you are. And what I have learnt through my conversations with my nail technician, who was sort of my conduit to my grandmother when the phone line is not exactly established, that our healing ability skips generations. So it was in my grandmother and her grandmother before her. And I have now come to the realization that it will be in my grandchildren, and that it is my role now to uncover how to work with these gifts and talents so that I may educate them. Because bless my sons, they think that my abilities are my voodoo witchy magic, as they call it. And I don't know how it happens, but I'll have conversations with them and they'll just look at me and go, how do you know that? I'm like, dude, came in the top of my head and out my mouth. Like, there is no, I am being used to articulate a message. And it was interesting, I was listening to Eckhart Tolle yesterday, and he was talking about being a channel and a guide, and how his information comes differently to others, and talking about, and I can't remember the author's name, she wrote the Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
And she had the voice in her head,
Yeah.
like I get. And she said to a colleague, I think I'm going mad, but it's asking me to write this information down. And he said, start writing. Listen to what it's telling you. And he said she would lock her office door because she was writing madly, and she thought that people would think that she was completely nutty and crazy. And sometimes it's challenging to find like-minded people who understand that there's more than what we can see, and that your intuition, your inner knowing, your guides, however you want to articulate it to make yourself feel more at ease with your ability, it's kind of a tricky course to navigate. I'm feeling a lot more, I suppose, comfortable. And Dava and I have had these long conversations about Mother Mary and what she wishes to articulate. But I think I feel at the moment it's the opportunity to really go within to find the next level and the next layer of what it is I'm meant to be sharing with the world in terms of my purpose and my ability to teach other women how to love themselves well, to the point where there's a zero fucks given attitude as to what other people think. It's not, no one cares. Let's get that out on the table. Nobody cares about what you're doing. People only care about what you're doing when you resonate with a level of passion and enthusiasm and love that it becomes infectious, and then it becomes this ripple effect that gets shared. And I think that's my hope out of all of it, is that ripple of love comes out for everybody, so everybody gets to experience great love. It's a rare commodity if you don't allow yourself to be open to it. If we're so guarded and blocked up by the shit that happens in our lives, we miss the great opportunity to find joy and happiness and bask in the greatness that comes with feeling that love. But ignoring your calling just means you get bigger and bigger and bigger universal head slaps up the back of the head until you some people have the ability for most of their lives to ignore it, and I think they're the people that feel jaded, ripped off, disconnected, they're taken advantage of, that just life is not good. But the thing is that we're here to experience life, but we're not here for it all to be horrid and bad. Like, it's not meant to be god awful and batshit boring. We are souls here having a human journey, and these meat suits do provide us with the ability to experience lots of different things. But if we do it without the lens of love, then everything, I think, is sadly less than what it can be. But I suppose that's, for me, that's the biggest thing that she's been pushing me to understand, is that that's what I've got to do.
Yeah.
It's teaching women and men too, because we each need one another in that supportive role. We each need to be able to hold space for each other. We each need to understand that there's pros and cons that come with either sex, and that we each have that divine energy of both the masculine and the feminine within each of us. And if we play from that small, wounded, dark, horrid space, you're not going to get to experience the highs and the joys and the simple beauty that can come from truly being yourself. If you put everybody's layer upon layer upon layer of coats, conditioning, expectations, what you should be doing, instead of following your heart's greatest desire, I think that's a shame. And I followed everybody's expectations, and I did get some of my greatest desires from that. But when we're in a space where we allow ourselves to be in flow with the things that we're divinely good at, because the universe doesn't put you here for no reason. Like, it puts you here for whether you want to look at it from a God-given reason, whether it's Buddha, whatever your thought process is when it comes to spirituality or religion for that matter, you're put here for a divine purpose. You're here to serve in some way, shape, or form. But it's your job to be the archaeologist, to find what your gifts and talents are. And I'm learning that some of my gifts and talents are things that can't be seen by others, and that I have an innate understanding of what other people are going through without having been in their shoes, or can see past their bullshit and go, hey, hang on a minute, that might not exactly be true. And I think that's one of the beauties of being a mentor or a guide or a coach or whatever label you want to put on it. Gives us the space to hold a vision for people that enables them to see themselves in the best possible light, because we are a reflection of what they want to become. We hold that big vision, and they can see that within us, and then see the possibility of it, instead of trying to look into the mirror and look deep within themselves. And some people don't have the capacity to do that. I think that, by being able to be the mirror for the person that, or the people that we choose to support, because I think it's a choice for both of us going into any mentoring or coaching relationship. It's like dating. We've got to kind of see if the energy's right and the fit's right, because sometimes it's not, and sometimes we're not the person to help you on that specific point in your journey. But if you're at a space where you go, surely there's got to be more to it, and I want to feel great, and I want to know what unconditional love for myself feels like, then that's something that I love taking a deep dive into, on a regular basis. But it can be a heads up warning. It can be exhausting, and it can be hard work. But as we step through it, we find the joy and the love and just the divine beauty in all the divine messiness, hence the name for our podcast. I think it's getting comfortable with what's coming next. And I'm thinking that there's a lot more coming. So the quicker that I accept that I hear things and I see things before they happen, and I instinctually just know without having any reason to know anything, and just going, oh, that's just part of who I am, then I think the better off I will be, but the better off everybody around me will be, because I think once we settle into our God-given talents, please put whatever word on it that you would like to use, but for me, that's the word that is working at the moment. There's ways in which we can tune in to our guides and our helpers, and there's always signs that we can see, and we can ask for those. You know, you can choose to ask for specific signs, whether your signs are a feather or it's a angel numbers, or whether it's a picture of a rainbow or a butterfly or a certain flower or a song on the radio, or something that you're asking for guidance from. If you ask for it, they are madly working behind the scenes to endeavour that and ensure that you get what you need. It might not come the way you want it to. It might not look the way you want it to. It might not come in the time that you would like it to. But if you hold the vision for your life in the way in which you wish to lead it, they're working like the minions on Despicable Me in the background, endeavouring to get things done. You have to hold a certain frequency and a vibration to ensure that they keep working for you, because we can all feel doubt. Trust me, that happens on a daily basis for all of us. But I think so long as we're maintaining our vision for where we want to go, doubt's going to slip in, because that's our human stepping in, because our human wants to be like a mama, like me, and wrap us in cotton wool and bubble wrap and anything else she can get her hands on to protect her kids from feeling sadness, anger, disappointment, all of those things. But by wrapping ourselves in all of those sorts of things, we don't get to experience the highs and the lows, which we need to in this humanly experience, because you can't have day without night. You know, you can't have up without down. It's the duality. You can't have feminine without the masculine. You can't have the yin without the yang. It just doesn't work, right? It's like missing a piece of yourself. So sit in it, think about it, recognize what's coming up and why you're getting frustrated or disappointment. You know, reach out, talk to someone, but get it out of your head, journal it, voice note it, do something so that the minions keep working. Because the minute that you drop your vibration, they drop their shoulders too and go, oh, God, she's not ready. So we have to pack all the stuff back up again, load it back up in the truck and drive it in the opposite direction. So it's really important to do things that maintain your level of consistency of your energetic vibration. So whether it means for you walking in nature, swimming at the beach, working out, journaling, meditating, doing something in which you can help. You know, it might be cooking a meal in your kitchen and putting the music on and shaking your ass while you're doing it. Whatever your way is of shaking off the blues or shaking off the stuff that's irritating or bothering you, or you know what, you reach out to a friend and have a conversation. But make sure those friends are not keeping you in a downward spiral, you know, that they're the type of friends that'll call you on your bullshit, that will push your buttons and say, you're full of crap and you need to just step in and be who you're meant to be. Because even Dave and I were having that conversation before we started today. And he's like, how are you? And I'm like, I think I'm good. I'm not really sure where this is going to go. So, you know, I did all the things that I know are good for me when it comes to wanting to talk to my guides. I use water. So I'm in the shower. I had meditation music going. I was concentrating on just clearing all the stuff out of my head and just focusing on what it was that needed to be shared today. And I think it's okay to feel a bit freaked out and scared. And I think it's also okay to not know what's coming next or why these talents have been bestowed upon you, you know, like, here you go, kid, here's a toolkit of stuff. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? You'll figure it out. You know, I think it's having the faith that when I messaged my mum and said, could I have a picture of Margaret Mary? Because I'd only ever seen a picture of her when she was in the later years of her life. I'd never seen the young woman that she was, and just went, oh, wow, she was so elegant, and, you know, the gloves and the hat and the shoes, and just looking very well put together. But it makes you want to sit down and have a real conversation. So that's what I'm endeavoring to do as I embark along this journey a little bit more and do a little bit more reading and listening to other people that have the ability to, you know, because we all need to find mentors that have the skill sets that we want to embody and take on. So listening to some amazing humans like Gabby Bernstein and Sonia Cochette and Eckhart Tolle and Dolores, just all these people that have, you know, even Abraham Hicks to an extent. Lord knows if it'll ever come to that. But you know what, if it does, that's what it's meant to be. So that's my thought on my calling. I am utilizing coaching as an avenue to do that, but at the same time endeavoring to use it to aid my kids in living their best lives, my partner in him living his best life, and for me to live my best life, and also to call my friends on their bullshit if they decide that they're not living their best life. But he's a spiritual guru. I look to him sometimes and just go, oh my word, I wish I had that divine energy and grace. And I sometimes look at it and I go, oh, you just got it all together, kid. You know, is there anything from that you would add to in terms of, you know, was your calling a one-time slap up the back of the head, or were you ignoring it too?
How can I follow that after what you just channeled? Like, seriously, how can I follow that?
Well, you're
Oh
my
my
spiritual guru, so I come to you for all of that assistance. You send me all the good fun stuff.
Well, for the listeners, I would like you to know this is what Tina is about. This, what you just experienced, is Tina's wisdom. And that's one of the reasons we connect so well, because this is how we talk, I would say, nearly, because for me it was so normal, but then I was taking it from the listener's perspective. They might never have heard you from this angle. And I was reflecting back on our journey when we first started, when we first met.
Oh God, hilarious.
Like if you look yourself now, no one would believe that you just spoke from your heart. And what I experience right now was divine love. And I can tell you that I was feeling that warmth. And I know we lovingly call her Mother Mary. your
Yes, we
grandmother. So
do. We do.
for people who are wondering, it's her grandmother that we call Mother Mary or
Yes.
Margaret Mary. Uh,
Good
but there's
Irish
so
woman, Margaret Mary Ryan. So yes, she's quite insistent at times, but I'm sure there's others that obviously want to have their input and their say, but she seems to be the loudest at the moment. But how about you? Do you have a specific person? Do you have someone that, comes to you regularly?
I do. It comes in different ways. Definitely not at the nail salon for me, like that's for sure. Does it
Well, I could
happen?
take you and see if it happens for you too. Just come
I
to
might
Perth.
try that. I don't know.
Yeah.
How you call that? Manicure or pedicure?
Yeah,
I
a
don't know.
manicure.
Yeah. So I might go for that. And you don't know. Yeah. See the feminine side taking over now. Yeah, but sometimes I would like to point out something as well while you were sharing was sometimes that's where the masculine need to give space for the feminine to bloom, because what you just experienced right now was just coming from that feminine side and giving you that space to just let it out, because I could see the emotion flowing in. And I feel my calling all my life has been listening to others, but it was mostly listening to myself, to that inner self. And my calling came throughout my life, I would say, like, but I never, just like you, I feel I never took it like seriously, or I just ignore it, or, right, like before we were talking, like you were feeling like maybe your human was saying like, maybe that's not me. And I think I was reading this week the book by Lewis Howes, The Greatest Mindset. And in there was a chapter about fear, uh, fear of failure, or your healing story, right? And it was talking about not being worthy, and not feeling worthy. And I feel for spiritual workers or light workers, however you name it, we have that fear of not being worthy, like we are not good enough. And that's when we refuse our gift and we say, I don't think I'm meant to listen to hear that. I don't think I'm worthy enough. That's what you're telling the universe, like I'm not worthy enough. Because I was reflecting on what you were sharing, and because there's so many nuggets in what you just shared. And I'm like, where do I go from there? And then that's my masculine side taking over, like the logical and saying like, and I say, no, you shut up. You can sit for now and take a rest, And that's when I was tapping in my intuition, I was saying like, okay, universe, where do you want me to go with that? And that's what we discussed before recording this episode, which is the starting of the C series. It started off a joke and it started the calling, but I feel it relates to the channeling as well, which you just did, which you just experienced. And there's nothing woo-woo or scary about it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of wisdom for me. From where it was coming from. And I feel once people start to accept who they truly are at the core, the message was just flowing, because at the core we are love. Like you say, you're a love coach. And I feel for me, coming back to me over my life, when I reflect on the events that happened during my life, it was always bringing me back to that calling, being the voice for the men. Because I remember when I came to New Zealand in the second year, I went to like a psychic. I wanted to try and I wanted to see. And the psychic did a reading and they said like my family ancestors was present. And I was like, at that time, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that's BS totally. Like, what are you talking? And she instantly said that you are going to be the voice for men. And I was like, no, that can't be true. Like, what are you? No, it doesn't work. And I was going that in my mind, but I just in that moment listen and whatever she shared. But for me, it was mainly from my maternal side, I would say, especially the grandmas. They seem to be loudest. I don't know why. I don't know if there's something there, but they seem to be the loudest. So for me, it come through dreams.
Yeah.
I will get through symbols because lately, just before, like you were saying, like getting out of the nap, and then you will say Siri. For me, I can't say Siri because for me it come into symbols. When my eyes are still closed, I can see
Yep.
symbols, and they are mostly related to the Egyptian era or something. And and yeah, that's funny, right? And if you can't,
Hugely funny. Oh my word.
and if you are not understanding what's happening, people, it's just Tina getting excited about something because it happened over the weekend, right? And it's
Yes.
related to the Egyptian era.
Yes.
So, not to digress and being a mess about this, but for me, also, the calling is more coming from that to break the cycle in my family, like about the finance, about because sometimes in my family we used to feel that you have that curse, that family curse of losing money, or you someone put the evil eye, like it's something quite famous in my country to say. Just be wary of evil eyes. And we do have special prayers for that, by the way. And yeah, but it's just to tell people that your calling, it can come in any ways. Like it's not just like me and Tina through your dreams, or if you're going to the nail salon or something like that. It can just come. Some people I know through an accident. Some people it's like when they had unfortunately cancer or someone has passed away, and that just wake them up. And that's it. It's part of the awakening that we talk about. But for me, the awakening is just remembering who you truly are, and it's linked to the calling where you accept your gift, like you were talking about your gift and talent that has been bestowed upon you. And you were talking about that gift and talent. For me, that image that came with the treasure crest, like, and you just keep opening and they are layer. I think in Harry Potter, there's one bit in the seventh, or I forgot which movie, but there was one Professor Moody was hidden in there, unfortunately. But it was that treasure crest that keep opening, and there's so much layer. And I feel that's how we are if you truly dig in. And your human will tend to find ways to keep you safe from your calling, but the universe will always find a way to make it so loud, if you truly accept it, that it will become so clear, so loud, that you won't be able to miss it, that you won't be able to say no. Yeah, you won't be able. It can happen at any point in your life, but it's not just sitting there and say, okay, I'm waiting for my calling. And it's not going to ring up. Right?
It's not like waiting for a train, right? It's just not.
It's like when you're going to that job, like you like to say, and you're not happy about it. And you're saying, like, when you go to the office on Monday morning and then you say, oh, you know what? I just listened to the Divine Med podcast, and they just said, like, just wait for your calling. So I'm just waiting for my calling. No, it doesn't happen like this. We had to do the work. Like, we had to go to places where we didn't like. And we're still going to places where we're like, really? These places exist? We're like, are you sure? Like, no, I don't think that's.
To dive in that far. It's dirty and it's dark, and I don't like it.
And you're not going to like it, those dark places. But I think it's Rumi who says where there's the crack, that's where the light come in. I'm not sure about that.
Yep.
And and that's where you need to go. And that's why we have mentors. You have guide like us, like coaches like us. And if you resonate with our message, that's why we always say, like, contact us. Like, we are available on social media. We both have our websites as well. So it's all about that having that guide, because sometimes finding your calling can be scary, can be, I don't know. I'm sure most people are right now and saying, I don't know what's my calling. Like, is it like a ringtone? Is it like, is it like my favorite song? But sometimes I feel that song do tell us something, like they have
Yeah.
a message, you know.
I think it provides a remembrance within us. Like we
Mm,
have this. I watched a show where it talked about a woman who learnt how to use herbs and the natural elements to heal people. And it was just such a like, oh, this feels so familiar. Like I should know this stuff. And so, you know, you start to do a dive into that. But I think that's what we create space for, is that remembrance, that safe space in which we can come together and take those dives. You know, we can provide that lifeline to know that there is that life raft, you know, off to the side when we're taking this, you know, like free dive into the depths of ourselves. We need to know that there's someone there that can hold that space for us, no matter how good, bad, or really goddamn awful that it gets. That someone's there and says, you're loved, you're cared for. We think that you are amazing, and keep going, because it will get better, because it's cyclic. We have to go to the depths to be able to come back up the other side to experience all the beauty and all the joy, but you still get to experience, you know, it's not a, I have to do the ugly before I get to see the beautiful. You can choose to see the beautiful all the way through the dive. Like you get to see things at the depths of yourself and the depths of your knowing. Once you're prepared to shuck your ego and shuck the fear and shuck all the I shoulds and I have tos and all the rest of it over your shoulder, and you start to become the seeker of your own self, and it's kind of like riding an escalator. You get to go up and then you got to come back down again, and then you get to go up and then you sort of stop halfway and then you get to go back up again. So it's about working through all of those levels to become conscious, to know that there is more, that you can seek more, that there is abundance for all, that you are love, you are light, you are all the things that we share about in our F series and in our A series, and now moving into the C series like this. All of these things that you can discover about yourself, you just have to be willing to put one foot in front of the other and put your hand up and say, can you walk with me?
can I walk? No, I can run with you.
I'm getting better at the running, so yes, I can do the running. I'm not quite
Yeah.
at the point of speaking and running, but I can definitely do the running.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful what you just shared. Is like, some people is like, are we willing to take that leap of faith and saying that, can I walk with something I can't see, or someone which could be that guide, could, just like you, for you, your guide at the moment is your grandma, right? And it's like, can I trust that energy enough to walk with her so that she can show me the path and guide me, and trust that it's same like that, right? And that's the scary, that's where the human goes, ooh. I'm not sure, like waking up at 3 a.m. when Mother Mary is like banging on the door and it's like you want to sleep. It's like, yeah, I just ran 5K and I'm really tired. I have to get up at 5 again, go to the gym, and it's like I don't want to listen. But you don't know when the message is coming, because there's no time and limitation in that, in their realm, in their dimension, I would call that. because
time is not a thing for them.
it's
There's
only
an
our,
urgency to share. That's it.
and that's where your voice notes are important. And I remember you sent me that message or you download, and it's like, yeah, you were still sleepy, by the way. And I could hear it, but the message was so powerful and it was filled with love. And you know that when your calling is coming from that space of love, where there's no doubt, like there's no ounce of fear, if you take that split second instead of going into that human and say and finding 100 reasons of why not doing it, but you take that one step into that faith of what you just felt, you just listened to, you just heard, and you just take that one step, and then you take the next step, and then the next step. It's just like when you started to walk as a baby.
Yes.
And that's who we are. If you look at it, I think that's how the guides sometimes see us. It's like we're baby, like we're having throwing tantrums, like we're having like, no, I don't want to listen to you right now. I'm so angry. You didn't get me what I want. And it's it's funny because when you come from that needy space, that's when you see nothing is happening. And you say, oh, I can't hear my calling. I don't know what my calling is I don't know what to do next. But it's all about I. But maybe start with one question: whom can I serve? How can I serve? And that might be shifting you to more towards service. Because for me personally, I always felt that the calling must be linked to something bigger than you. Your calling should be, and it should be in service to others. How to make the humanity better. Maybe to take it to the fifth dimension. Now we are talking about fifth dimension in the spiritual world now.
Yes.
And they are looking, that's why I feel there's that awakening and people are maybe leaving their GOB to start something for themselves and say, you know what, I'm tired of that. I want to do something for me that's going to help others and serve others in a better way.
But it's trusting the process, right? It's like that video you sent to me. So you get on a bus and you trust that the driver will get you there. You get on a plane and you trust that the pilot knows what they're doing and that they're going to get you safely to your destination. Same when you get on a train, same when you get in a taxi, same when you get in an Uber. So sometimes Uber. So why do we not trust the journey that we've been given? Why can we not trust the process and surrender, and then surrender a tad more, and going, okay, well, if this is my calling, how do I provide the service? How do I show up every day? What do you want me to share? Have conversations in the car when you're driving by yourself. Have conversations when you're in the shower. Get up every morning and stand outside and you give gratitude and thanks that you're able to stand outside for another day and say, how would you like me to show up today? And eventually they will become very clear in their desire for you to show up and how
and
you
I
show
think
up.
and I think the power as well lies into the type of a question you're asking yourself.
1,000%.
And not only putting yourself down. Because I feel sometimes with my client, I noticed that when people are coming, the type of question that they're asking is like they're comparing themselves to others' journey. Like the same for the both of us. Like we don't channel the same way. We can channel messages in different ways, but at the core, we have the same message. And that's the beauty of it. Because something will happen to you in the week, and I will be sending you a video or a post, and you will be like, your famous word, you will drop the F-bomb, and you will be like, how did that happen? And
Or I
we
just saw
always
that
tell
2 seconds ago, like literally we vibrate very much on almost exactly the same frequency at exactly the same
yeah,
time. And David's talking about seeing Egyptian signs. I went to an ancient Egypt exhibition at our local museum over the weekend, and it was just like, oh, this all resonates so very much. And the beauty that they saw in death, and how they treated it with such reverence, and how they, wanted to take their skills and their attributes and their abilities and all the things with them into the next, they saw it as the next journey, as the next exciting adventure, like it was never a cessation of anything. It was just the start of the next chapter.
yeah,
And for it being as far away as it was in time, the things look like they were created yesterday.
yeah,
They're just such beauty in all of it. And I think if we can all accept the beauty within ourselves,
yeah,
no matter how divinely messy we are, how divinely messy our life is. This week I've had no real divine mess, and it leaves me feeling a little bit that I am enjoying the peace and the harmony that has come, and I give thanks that I'm not experiencing a divinely messy life this week. I'm experiencing a divinely peaceful life this week. So with that, my friend, I think that it is time to say to our beautiful people that do decide to tune in and join us every week, we love you. And we are exceptionally grateful to have you along on this divinely messy journey with us both, as we uncover who we are and how we can best be of service to all of you. And until next week, hopefully we have a few technical issues organised and sorted on Mr. Perriman's end. But until then, I would say goodbye to my good friend until I start texting him in about 2 minutes. And we will look forward to having you all join us next week on The Divine Mess.
Well, thank you, Tina, for today. Especially, I think that's why I had technical challenges, I would say, because it was my time to step back and give you that space so that you can share your wisdom.
And thank you so much for that.
Because last week you allow me, I would say, more like to share my wisdom as well. And I really honor the time I spent with you. And I hope that people go back to that episode and just listen maybe the first, 30 minutes, I don't know, half an hour of it again and again, and even the whole episode again, because there's so many nuggets in there. There are deeper messages, I feel. If you really, really listen to it and you sit with it, maybe close your eyes, because even if we are not in the same room recording, I could feel the divine love from your grandma, and I can say that. And I can feel that all our ancestors were present with us in that episode, because that's pure divine love, and you can't change that. And my hope is that people find that divine love and they don't get scared of it. Rather, you embrace it. And if it's making you emotional in that moment, embrace it, and that's okay. And that's what we're all about. Divine masculine and divine feminine. It's not always about logical being illogical, whatever it is. It's sometimes giving that space for someone to share that wisdom that you have within you, and take that time with yourself this week. If you feel that life is a roller coaster, or you're having that peaceful moment, enjoy it to the maximum. Take time to spend with you. Yes. And that's my message for you for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Tina, for this beautiful. I feel for me, I had the best time today.
Thank you. I had the best time too. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I know you were. Beforehand, you were talking about it, but I felt that divine love, and I really appreciate that you shared it with me first before anyone else. So I'm really happy about that. That's my selfish part of it, but just saying.
Just
But I'm
saying.
really, yeah, but I'm really honored to be part of your journey, and
Thank you,
me
my
the same
friend.
to be bestie, my bestie, like I call my spiritual bestie. So
I
thank
love that
you,
bit.
everyone. Take good
Okay.
care, and we'll see you on our 15th episode for next time.
I
Thank you
know.
so much.
Much love. Till then. Bye.